Welcome to another video from Dr. Lock, just on the job again. So we're looking at an old sludge or slag handle which is mounted in the middle of the door. This is quite rare to see. You only see this on 30s, 40s, 50s type houses, and this is definitely a 50s house. You can tell by the larger cornices, the front door step. There's a lot of telltale signs. Now on this door they've got a chub lock, which is a really nice chub lock. You know, that's a 5-lever chub lock, so that's giving good security. With this handle lock here, it's got this brass coloured or copper coloured plate. So what we're actually going to do, this lock is a bit dicey. It's been here since day one, and it's probably time to change it over. You can barely get the key in, but it does actually work. So we do have the options. We could do a rekey and try and clean up the cylinder, because we can't replace the cylinder. It's going to be a cylinder we don't have, it's that old. So we can either redo the cylinder, clean it up, or replace it and then key everything else alike to it. That would be a better option, because then the customer can have one key throughout their house rather than have a separate key for this front door, because that's a sludge key. And yeah, so what makes this door so interesting is that the latch extension on this lock goes from the middle of the door to the edge of the door. So it's something like, I think, a 450mm latch extension, and they don't sell these anymore. They were pretty common and pretty popular back in the day, but now it's not so common, not so popular. So if you can't get the parts, what do? So the options for this door are, we could mount another lock at the 60 or 70 or 120, or can't do 127 because the door decal or decoration is there. So we'd have to do a lock at a 60. And 60 is not always good, because you can kind of, when you're pulling the door closed, you can hit your fingers on the door jamb. So ideally you want it back at about here, and it's got this trim here. So that's not really desirable. When I look at this latch here, the latch is actually still working. So what we can do, because that's a bayonet fitting, is we can actually swap that lock out and keep that existing 60-year-old latch. On the back here, it's just a simple push button, turn the key, it pops out, or push and turn, and it'll stay in when the door's locked. So we're going to just go for a new knob set, something to make it, you know, a little bit nicer and a little bit more reliable, because this one here is quite old and quite chunky. This plate's going to have to come off, and this is just a nice white finish on a door, so it's no big deal just to get the brush or just touch up this one panel and then just put a nice reliable lock on it. And the latch extension goes from about here to here, and if you do get them, it's well worth keeping in case one time you can't replace anything and then you need to actually use it. So that's something interesting you don't normally see, and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. Let's get started. Let's rip this off the door and see what we can do. We've got the new lock all ready. So where's that drop-in point? Right there. Okay, so on this particular lock, which is a very old feature, they have a plate which rotates around the latch, which actually blocks it, and that can't move until the screws are out. So when we move it, you'll probably see the two screws will get covered. Oh, there we go. See that? Blocked and blocked. So it's a funny little system on these ones. Let's slide it out. Still a little bit of resistance. There we go. And it's out. Ah, and that's quite nice. They've actually painted underneath, which means now they've just got to polish that trim off and it'll look nice. So here's our lock that we're going to be putting in there. Let's pull that apart. And you can always tell the locksmith set of keys because they've got a spike tool on there. Okay, unwind that. Set the door thickness. Line up the latch. Back in the car now. Now I'm using what's this, R53 SSS carber lock, which we probably don't see that much of anymore. And this is a bayonet fitting lock. As you can see here, it's a bayonet fitting, so this should fit the front door quite nicely. So I'm just going to key match it now. Match the key so that the customer can use one key for everything. So pop the key in, turn it, turn it back, spike tool, and pull. There we have it. So these are not super duper lock. They're more of a residential grade, but they work quite well for what we're using it for. It'll operate nicely for the residents. So just get that circlip out of there. Shoe fly. And let's rekey this. We're going to need some pins. My trusty Lockwood follower. Boom. See, these locks are not so bad. They don't have all that milli on the side. You do have a solid brass plug, so that is good. Alright, here we go. Put the new keys in and key it up. Perfect. So I'm just reading the key as I go, just gauging if it's deep or not, and if whereabouts it is, and then I can choose a pin that's accurate. Two to go. Okay, they're all flush with the shear line. Test effortlessly, perfect. Tailpiece on the back, and install the circlip. I like to install the circlip a certain way, that way it doesn't fall off. If I install it going upwards, it can come off. If I install it going down, it will never come off because the gravity won't allow it. So just got to put that tail in there and push that circlip on over the top, bring it around the front, double check it's all the way home, and it's clipped in now, so I'm happy with that. Okay, one of the viewers always gave me a good tip: put the key in so then the cylinder doesn't go floating around the housing. And I think that was a good tip. It's cost me a few times when it's done that. Okay, now I'm going to hand the door. So handing means the way that you put the key in, if it's up or if it's down. So I'm going to make sure my cylinder's in the right orientation and slide this in now so that when I'm on the door, I don't have to worry about this. Okay, so I've pushed it in as far as I can. I'm turning it to the drop-in spot, turning it with my key. There we go, we've got a click. Double checking just down in here that it's locked in, and it has. Now I test. Check it. Check it. Okay. Back in the box with the screws. Let's go fit it. Knob in. And it was a little bit of a mission to get this latch back in. What I think is happening is that this is a little bit wider than that. So I adjusted this, gave it a file and gave it a bit more room, and we're good. Okay, so let's close the screen door now. Make sure there's enough room for this knob not to hit. Perfect. Okay, so this new lock went in the same spot and turned out very nicely. From the inside, it's basically the same as what it was. You push the button, you turn it, it pops out. You turn it with your hand and the door unlocks. From the outside, you simply use your key. When you use the key on the front, the button's going to pop out. When you want to go in and out, you just turn it like a normal handle. We're reusing the same 400mm latch, and it went on quite nicely. We're very lucky that the original person actually took this faceplate off, or this dress plate, and painted underneath it, because now it doesn't look so bad, and once it's polished up, it'll look perfect. So that's a new lock in place of a 30-40-year-old Slage, and now we've got the ability to key everything alike. Leave your comment down below. Thanks for watching.